This is the new buggy. This is the first buggy I've ever built, so I'm gonna kind of go through, explain the process, what was going through my head when I built it, and kind of give you guys a rundown. So it'll be a quick video, but here we go. So basically, I sold my previous Rockwell buggy, took some parts left over from my Jeep, and came up with this. I did all the tube work, all the suspension, 4-link, you name it, drivetrain, all of it. I had help from a couple of good buddies. Shout out to Mike, Nick, and Timmy Cameron for all of the stuff that they helped me out with. So shout out to those guys. Definitely give me some insight on what I was looking for. I went with ORIs. Well, I guess I could kind of go through and kind of explain the parts list. Went with some ORIs. These are 18-inch ORI struts. Got these from Jensen Bros Off-Road. Super good guys to deal with. They got them to me quick. Blue was the only color they had in stock. So I was like, all right, that decided my color scheme. I got aluminum 7075 links from Nick Barna at Ball Joint Eliminators. Shout out to him. Super cool guy to deal with. Gets you everything you need like that. Reasonable prices, super awesome dude. The next thing I kind of went into, and the most noticeable thing about the whole buggy, is the chassis. I've never built a chassis before. I've never touched a tube bender in my life. I built the whole entire buggy from nothing but a pile of pipe to the full-blown working driving buggy in about 2 months and 2 weeks. I think it's 2 months and 3 weeks to this day right now is how long it took me to build everything. It still hasn't been tuned yet. It should be. So there's some stuff like that needs to be done. Also went back with top loader 2.5 ton axles. They're not the best. They're what I had. They're what I could afford. So that's what I went with. I'm going to kind of dive in, show you some interior details now. Okay, as far as interior goes, I went with the standard Corbeau seats. These are the flat pace seat. So they are just a straight flat paneled seat. They're as flat as I could get them. So that's, I wanted my seats to be as low in the buggy as I could make them. So that's what I was able to do. So I was very happy with that. I went with a dual pass radiator. I didn't know it was a dual pass when I bought it, so I fought a lot of demons with that thing, but now that I got it figured out, it's been running cool. Up to my gauges, I kept it simple. I have a trainee gauge, oil pressure gauge, this is an electronic oil pressure gauge, and then a manual or mechanical motor temp gauge, and then another spare mechanical oil pressure gauge. The only reason why I have 2 oil pressure gauges is one of the oil pressure gauges is electrical, and that goes to the output on the fuel filter. So there's one way to see what my oil pressure is. And the mechanical oil pressure gauge is mainly for when I first started up the engine. I didn't know if all my electrical stuff was exactly as it should have been. So to have a mechanical gauge kind of saves you the headache in case something were to go wrong and you didn't have oil pressure. And my mechanical oil pressure gauge is a 1/4 inch thick line. Basically what this means is with a bigger line, you can tell the second you start to lose any oil pressure, which is a big deal because oil pressure is everything. If you don't have oil pressure, your motor is screwed. A lot of people run an 1/8 inch line for their oil pressure. The problem with this is it takes longer for the oil to get to the gauge to read it correctly. So if you're going to do it right. Go with a 1/4 inch line. Motor is a 5.3 LS. Well, it's actually probably a 6.0 now. It's been bored, stroked. That motor is paired with a Turbo 400 that I got from Troy Bauer. I don't even have a skid plate on it yet. So that's our trainee right there from Troy Bauer. Into the transfer case, I went with an SCS case. SCS case is standard. It's always going to go in any buggy I build. The last 3 buggies I've had, I've always put that transfer case in there. They're bulletproof and they're the best of the best. Well, my drive shafts are a 1410 drive line, big U-joints, less worries. I mean, I have Rockwells, so there's, a minuscule amount of stress on the drivetrain itself. Everything from axles, or everything from drive shafts to the transmission through the transfer case. It's a lot more minuscule considering the gear reduction you have in a Rockwell. On to rear steer. Rear steer is my favorite thing about a buggy. It's so much fun to mess with. It adds to everything that you can be as a better driver. It adds to the possibilities of making up more obstacles. It makes you more unique. You're more versatile. I went with the busted knuckle kit. There was some headaches here and there trying to get this kit figured out. I've broken 3 handles, or 2 handles and 3 toggle switches. I don't know if it was just the toggle switches themselves or electrical failures within them. They didn't break from abuse, just from electrical failure inside. So finally, I'm hoping I got that figured out. It is the self-centering rear steer kit with a single-ended ram. I'm not exactly sure what's the best rear steer kit out there. If you're going to buy a rear steer kit, buy it with, the knowledge that something can go wrong. Rear steer is still something that is being developed better and better in the off-road industry, and I don't think you're really going to get a rear steer kit that's going to be 100% other than maybe a Stasworks kit. So take it at face value, do what you will. Either kit should be okay, Busted Knuckle or Stasworks. Just do your research, find out what you want to do, and find out what's right for your buggy. Now, I did go with 4-link, front and rear. I was going to do trailing arm. I have Rockwells, so I was really not wanting to lengthen out my wheelbase anymore, and I already had most of the cage designed to where I wanted my shock mounts in the first place. So 4-link was the easiest way to mount up all my suspension in a way that I felt would be good. As far as a wheelbase, we're sitting at 119 inches. This is pretty short compared to most modern day buggies, but not too short. 123 inches is pretty standard for a lot of the newer buggies like the Rocket Ship or Busted Knuckles ride chassis, or even some of Reject Fab's buggies. You're going to see that as a pretty commonplace. Some of the longer custom built buggies like the Fordzilla kind of style buggies, or custom one-off buggies like any Tim Cameron buggy is definitely pushing over 123, 124, 125. Some of the old school buggies are in there. It all changes. So that's what I went with. My new buggy is going to be a lot shorter. Standard 43 SX sticky. Got these from my buddy Jeremiah. They came on the last buggy I got. They're a fine tire. I am wanting to try a bigger tire eventually. I'll see how long I keep this buggy, and then we'll go from there. The interior was probably the biggest headache of the whole buggy. It takes a long time to figure out where you want everything, where you want your dash, shifters, your steering wheel column, and you got to have foot space inside of here. So it's gnarly. It's kind of hard to fit everything in there. Going into chassis specs, the chassis is 146 inches long from nose to tail, and we're sitting at about 48 inches from the bottom of the skid to the top of the roof, roughly. The chassis' widest point is from each boated side, and that is 60 inches. So it is a chunkier chassis. I have not weighed the buggies like with a very, very accurate scale yet, so I'm a little bit hesitant to give you a full number, but I'm willing to bet the whole entire buggy as a whole is about 4,000 pounds, give or take 100. Everybody says Rockwells are heavy. They're not. Rockwells are probably, without the aluminum hubs, are probably anywhere from 100 to 150 pounds heavier than a fully trussed Dana 80 or fully trussed 14 bolt with Reed Super C knuckles and kingpins. So that's another factor too. As far as structural support in the chassis, it was my first time, so I haven't even really had the opportunity to fully test it. I jammed the driver's side into a tree just today, and that was on my side. I was able to drive out of it, so the full buggy was tipped like this, and it took it, so that seemed all right. All the body panels are 16th inch aluminum. I cut them all out with an angle grinder, and that's how I made those. Now, here's the biggest flaw of the buggy as far as what I've heard from other people. This is Schedule 40 pipe. It is not DOM. I didn't have any DOM on ham, and I was in a time crunch. I had this pipe, and that's what I went with. I think it's fine as long as you're a good fabricator. If you're just going to run a single bead weld along everything with like a 14 volt welder and not have any penetration, there's definitely a failure point. I've jumped the buggy and had the buggy 5 feet in the air, fully bottomed out at my house, and these shock tabs and shock mounts with dual pass welds have not cracked, have not broken. The fronts I even had to custom raise. I had to take basically the base level and raise it up for an 18-inch shock. This is how our rear shock mounts look. So far, they're taking it. I mean, who knows? Time will tell, but if you can save money somewhere, especially me being as young as I am, it's kind of hard to come by. So if you can save money in spots that make it more available for you to spend it in a better place, like your motor, transmission, or transfer case, axles, you name it, then do it. It does have 12-inch exhaust on both sides, so that was cool. I was able to fit a full entire header in there, so I didn't have to run a stubby or nothing. So that was cool also. And it's just a PSE power steering pump with a AC Delco water pump on the motor too. Pretty simple stuff. The motor's making around 460-ish horsepower, probably more. It's not tuned, so it's really somewhere in that range. But as far as my first buggy, I'm very proud of it. Like I said, first time building anything completely from scratch. The whole entire buggy was built from absolutely nothing but a pile of pipe on the ground to this in 2 months. So was it rushed? Yeah. Is it perfect? No. But my next buggy will definitely have all the flaws that I learned on this one eliminated from it. So it's gonna be a good time. I don't know if I'll have any wheeling footage on this since I don't have anybody else to film me today. But my next trip is Apple Valley Farms Father's Day weekend. So if you guys are gonna be there, I'll catch you there. Otherwise, yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Really appreciate it, and I'll keep you tuned on what we're gonna be doing for the next build. And it is going to be at least a foot shorter in height, way down. So thanks for watching, guys. Peace. This is my first chassis that I chassis for. Can't even speak today. Also, if I can kind of go inside. Ah, no. Drop the phone. Nice. This is my rear steer switch for my rear wheel right. Dude, no English today. Anyways, went into a holy shit, that's a bee.